Hey everybody, Director Doug here once again, and today we have a special guest in studio with us. Not only has she played many different characters on Discovery Mountain, but she's also one of our main writers. Today we'd like to welcome Janice Nelson to the studio, and Jean has some questions for her to help you understand a little bit about what makes her tick. Jean, go ahead.
Yes, thanks, Director Doug. And Janice Nelson, welcome.
Thank you. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, it's great to have a chance to have a chat with you and let our listeners get to know you just a little bit better. Janice, they will know you from some of the actors or characters, I should say, you have played, that you have acted. And you've also written some seasons of Discovery Mountain for us as well.
Right. Mostly I do minis, but I have done 2 full seasons. Season 19, Walls, and season 24, Bullies and Blessings.
Mm-hmm. Great seasons. And season 19, Walls, we talked about the story of Rahab.
Jericho and Rahab.
Jericho. Uh-huh. Yeah.
And then Bullies and Blessings was the story of Balaam.
Right. Oh, that was such a fun season. Director Doug loved that season.
Oh, I love that. With Moe's Diner, it was fantastic.
Yeah. And all the donkey sounds.
You were particularly fond of donkey sounds, right?
Oh, my goodness. Well, yeah. Oh, yes, you reminded me. I kind of forgotten about that. It seems like you writers have a tendency to want to add animals. And every time you want to add an animal.
Animals?
Well, everybody loves animals. It's just, as a sound editor, it's like, okay, where am I going to find the sound of a donkey? So you start looking, and then I see a staging direction written by Janice, and it says, donkey braying gently or quietly braying.
Softly or something like that.
Softly
right?
bray. That was it, softly bray. It's like, hang on, donkeys don't softly bray. So I'm, feverishly looking all over the place to try and find softer sounds for donkeys. And I think maybe as you notice from the final edit, they're really not in there because I just couldn't find any.
I guess it was just in my imagination that they bray softly.
Yeah, they basically scream all the time.
Oh, well, and we had that was a wonderful Bible story. That one we had the donkey was named Sage, right? And you played one of the fictitious characters, but important character. What was her name again?
Nanaiah. She is one of Balaam's 2 servants. We're not told, who the servants were, of course, in Scripture.
Right.
There are never as many details as I want, as far as I'm concerned. Mm-hmm. But it does say that not only did he get on his donkey to head to Moab, but he took his 2 servants with him. And I just instantly pictured this sort of older married couple, sort of half bickering, but half you can tell that they really love each other, but they think Balaam's crazy.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, and it was great. It was wonderful. A wonderful way to bring the Bible to life.
When Doug said, "Would you like to voice Nanaiah?" I said, "Oh, Doug, I am Nanaiah."
Love it.
Well,
That's
we had another actor play your husband, and this is one of the first times we've actually done this on Discovery Mountain, where both of you were remote, and we actually connected you together live.
Right, he was in. My husband was in Kansas, if I remember correctly,
and you were in California.
It was so much fun because when you're doing your lines by yourself, I mean, that's okay. Obviously, it works. But having the other person, there's just a completely different energy. It's like being live on stage, and it just bumps it up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And technically, it worked really well. I mean, we've been using this service for a while for all our remote actors, but we've never combined 2 in a scene before. And it worked beautifully. And you guys did a great job.
Yeah, it came through perfectly. Yep. It was wonderful.
I'll work with him again any day.
Awesome. Well, Janice, when you're not writing for Discovery Mountain and sharing your acting talents with us, what's your regular job?
I run the office at the Wairika Adventist Christian School. Wairika is up on the border with Oregon and California. We basically are a suburb of Oregon. Beautiful up here. It's the mountains, snow. I tell people all the time, this is not the palm tree and beach part of California.
You're in the northern part of California. It
Right.
is gorgeous. I love Northern California.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. And you and I first met Janice at a women's retreat in Oregon a number of years back.
Yes, we did. I was the special feature. You were the main speaker.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where you got to talking to me about the monologue that I had done.
Mm-hmm.
And you loved it because you said you could tell how much research went into it, that it was theologically and historically absolutely correct, and yet it brought the story to life.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's when you first broached the subject of writing for you. And I believe I pretty much said, I don't think I can do that.
Pretty much, yes. And I said, well, why don't I send you some episodes and you can listen and tell me what you think. And I was glad I had followed up with you on that because, you're a natural fit.
I never would have called you back because I still felt like, I don't know that I could do that. And 6 months later, when you called me, I was actually at the Air and Space Museum, Smithsonian Museum in Washington, D.C. And you called to go, so have you had time to think about it? And
wow,
I'm glad I did too.
Yeah.
I'm glad you tracked me down.
Yeah. And you bring the female characters in the Bible to life with your monologues, as you call them. And it's incredible. For those of you listening, if you're ever looking for something like that at one of your live events, Janice is your person. Write to us and we can get you in touch.
Right. At this point, I think I've got 14 or 15 different 30 to 40-minute monologues that I do.
Oh, it's wonderful. It just brings the characters to life. It's incredible. Yeah. So, Janice, do you have a favorite food?
That is so hard to narrow down because I've never met a carbohydrate that I didn't love. I do a lot of baking, and then I give a lot of it away because I can't be trusted with it. I bake bread, French bread, cookies, cakes, pies, especially pies. But I really can't have that around. So it's like, make it, share a slice, with your husband, and then give the rest away before you eat it all.
Sounds like a good strategy. You still get to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. But you don't have to eat all of it yourself. Or shouldn't anyway.
Right. It's probably hard to pick a favorite Bible verse, but is there a special Bible verse that comes to mind?
One that I turn to a lot because it's just, I think I was born sort of anxious, a nervous system that's just, if I did my DNA, I'm sure that I would be a direct descendant of Chicken Little.
Oh,
I am always the one going, okay, things might be okay right now, but they could change. I've got that pessimistic streak. Yes, it could. And if it does, it would probably be on me. Oh. So it's kept me out of trouble in some ways because I'm not a big risk taker. But in other ways, I've had to turn to that verse when I'm only paraphrasing. It's in Philippians 4:6, or I should have looked that up, should have anticipated this. But it's the one about do not be anxious for anything, but in everything. Basically, take everything to the Lord. Don't be stewing over it, worrying about it, running through every possible bad scenario in your head before you think about praying. And I just have to remind myself of that all the time. And I'm so glad the verse doesn't say, hey, don't worry about those big things. Take those to God. It says, don't worry about anything. And I like a God like that, that tells me that I don't have to sweat the small stuff or the big stuff.
That you can trust him with it all, the whole gamut.
I think he wrote it for people like me.
Very reassuring, very comforting. Thank you for sharing that. So, Janice, when you were a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Well, it depends on what age. I can remember when I was probably 4 or 5, I thought fireman because I loved the Dalmatian dogs that you'd see with them. But then I discovered, oh, they actually have to deal with fire, and I'm afraid of fire, so that might not work. I think as a high school senior, where in your yearbook you put what you want to do with your life, that I wanted to be a journalist. And actually, I did major in that, but I've never really used it. Obviously, I do some writing still, but
yeah, you've used.
But
the
I've
skill
never
set
actually worked for a newspaper.
Okay. Yeah, but the skills are applicable to what you do with the researching and the writing. Definitely. You're right.
Mostly, I couldn't think of anything else I might be good at.
Oh, well, it all worked out. I love how God does that. Sometimes we go to college with a certain idea and God says, yeah, but I want to take that talent that you've developed and use it in this particular way. And it always works out for his glory when we're willing to use our talents for him.
Right. Honestly, I don't think very many people are doing what they actually thought they would do.
True.
When they were in high school.
Very true. So you loved Dalmatian dogs. Do you have any pets?
Just love animals. Yes. Oh. We have a herd of little long-haired dachshunds. In fact, in Walls, with the new family that I introduced, they had a long-haired dachshund named Ruby, because that happens to be one that I have, Ruby. She's the only girl in the bunch, and she is red. And she's just the sweetest thing. So I told her I was making her a star, but she didn't seem impressed.
Well, you should have recorded her barking, and then we would have had her sound effect.
Yes, you would.
For Ruby, right? Yeah, we've had dachshunds as well. My wife is a big fan of dachshunds. We've had a couple of them, and Cinnamon and Chloe. But at the moment, we're petless. But yeah, my wife just loves the long-haired dachshunds.
You know, I never thought I would. But my husband, who's more of a cat person, and we have 3 of those, I discovered that if I keep the dogs cat-sized, I can have as many as I want because he loves them too.
It's a good trick. I love it. Well, Janice, you have certainly helped create Discovery Mountain in the imaginations of so many of our listeners. When you picture Discovery Mountain in your mind, in your imagination, and think about, if I could really visit there, where do you think you would want to visit the most?
Oh, there's no question. You remember my comment about I've never met a carb that I didn't like? It would be Miss Michelle's. Both the full seasons I've written, Miss Michelle's has been, a major part of it.
That's true.
And that would be the first place I would head. And I would have to try everything.
Yeah. One of those trail mix brownies. Fight Jake to get your hands on one.
Well, that I'd like to see. I mean, a fight over a brownie. We should have that in Discovery Mountain. A guest writer, floats into town and Jake's there eating the last brownie and they start a fight.
Right.
I think that might be a funny scene.
I'd probably win. I think I'm at heart probably meaner than Jake.
Well, you just get your purse and you fill it full of really heavy stuff and then just belt him with it.
Oh, the sound effects of that would be very fun.
They would be fun. They would be very fun.
It would. Oh, well, Janice, it's always a joy to work with you and to work with your family because your family members have voiced some of the characters that you created. And I hope we get to know some of them during one of these interviews coming up soon. But I'm just glad that God connected you and I at that women's retreat all those years ago and that you've been willing to share your talent with us. Thank you.
Well, like I said, I'm glad that you pursued it and didn't let me just back out and say, let my insecurities win, because it has been fun.
Good. Well, I'm so glad. Well, thank you, Janice, for being with us.
Oh, no problem.
All right, to you listening along with us at home, thank you for joining us, and I hope that you've enjoyed getting to know Janice Nelson. You recognize her voice from some of your favorite Bible characters, and she's created some of our favorite seasons and our mini adventures, a lot of mini adventures, including some that are coming up soon. And Janice shared one of her favorite verses with us, and I want to close with that for you today. It's Philippians chapter 4 and verse 6. Be anxious for nothing, but in everything, by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. Well, thank you for listening to this mini adventure. We'll see you here next time.